Hey guys, in this video we're going to start a new project. This time we're going to build a social media app. This app will be similar to something like Twitter. There will be posts and comments as well as followers for each user. We'll build all this using Django and Python, and we'll also use Bootstrap 5, which is very new at this time, so there'll be some differences with how we do some things in our templates than compared to how we did them in the previous projects. And like the other projects, this really isn't meant for a complete beginner. We'll move fast in the beginning, so it'll be a good idea to have a basic understanding of Django, including class-based views and the Django templating syntax. With that said, let's get started building this project. So right here, I have opened up a new empty folder for our project. I'm going to jump into a terminal window here. I already have Django installed. If not, you can just do a pip install Django. And now I'm going to go ahead and install some things and get this project ready to go. So first, I'm going to go ahead and install two things. So let's do a pip install Django-allauth and Django-crispy-forms. We're going to use allauth for authentication to get that up and running pretty quickly, and Django crispy forms to make our forms look better by just adding a tag to our HTML templates. Now let's go ahead and make our actual project. So I'll type Django-admin start project, and we'll call this one social network. And that will create our project file in our folder. Let's go ahead now and cd into social network. And then inside here, we'll go ahead and create two apps. We're going to create an app called Landing, which will have all the guest pages for when an unregistered user shows the site, and an app called Social, which will hold all of our actual social network views and URLs. So I'll do a Python manage.py start app social, and then we'll do the same thing, but make one and call it Landing. And now with those two things created, we can jump in here. We can see them both right in here. Let's go ahead now and migrate our changes. So we'll do a Python manage.py migrate. And now let's go ahead and create a super user. So we'll do a Python manage.py create super user. Call it admin. We'll leave our email just blank. We'll give it a password. Try it again. And now we have our super user created. And that's all we need to get this project set up. So now I'm going to go ahead and just minimize this tab. And now inside of our project here, let's jump into our settings.py. So we'll go to our social network folder and to our settings.py. And first, let's go ahead and add both of our apps to the installed apps list here. So here, I'll go ahead and do social, and then put a comma. I'll do a landing as well. Now, with those two things added, we'll go ahead and save this. Let's go ahead now and make our first view. So let's jump into our, let's go into our landing, and let's go ahead and jump into our views.py. Let's go ahead and add our first view. So first, I'm going to import our generic view class. So from Django.views, import view, and this will be just for our get and post methods that we put on our view class, like the previous videos did. Let's go ahead and create a class. We'll call it index, and we'll inherit from our view class we just imported. And in case you're not familiar, this generic view class right here, what it allows us to do is to make different methods, put different methods on our class for each HTTP method that we'll handle. So for example, if I want to handle a GET request and just load a web page, I can go into my class here and do a def get, and anything inside here will run when a GET request is sent to this URL. We do the same thing for post, for delete, for put, or for any HTTP method. Inside of our parameters for our get method, I'm going to go and pass in self, request, get rid of this, request, star args, and star quargs. And now within this get method, I'm just going to return a template. So I'll just do return render, pass in request, and then we'll go ahead and pass in our template name. So we'll do landing slash just index.html, and we'll make that here in a second. I'm going to go ahead and save this, and I'm going to go ahead and create this directory. So inside of our landing app, I'll create a folder. And we'll call this one templates. And then inside of our templates folder here, we'll create a new folder right here, and we'll call this one landing. Oops. Landing. So now we have a templates and then a landing, and inside here we can go and create our template. So we'll do index.html. And this is just a standard path for Django templates. This will make it so we don't have to actually add anything into our settings.py to load these templates. So we'll keep all of them here just to make it easier for our setup. So now we have this index file, but we also want to create two more files. We want a navbar and we also want a base template. So we're going to go ahead and create those two files within the same directory. So we'll do a base.html, and then we'll also do a navigation, or what's it called, navbar.html. So our base template will hold all of our base styles, and then our index template will inherit from that base template. So let's go ahead and set up our base template first. So to do this, we can go ahead and jump into a browser, and let's go ahead and get our Bootstrap starter template from their website. So the first link here should be a link to Bootstrap 5, their blog, and you'll get a little description here about some differences in Bootstrap 5. Come down here to the bottom, and you will see a link. And right here, this should take you to the Bootstrap 5 documentation. If you want, you can read through this page to kind of learn about some of the differences, or you just go here to get to the link to get to the documentation. And we'll go ahead and click on this Get Started button. And then from here, we can scroll down to this starter template right here. I'm going to go ahead and copy this and back into my text editor. Inside my base.html, I'm going to paste it right in there. We'll go ahead and save that. I'm going to go ahead and change this title here just to social network. And I'm going to remove this H1 and replace it with just a Django content block. So 2 curly braces, 2 percent signs, and do block content. And then right here, I will do end block content. Go ahead and save that. I'm also going to go ahead and delete some of these comments. We're going to use this first default way of bringing in the JavaScript. So I'll delete all that, and I'll delete this comment right there. We'll go ahead and save that. There we go. So there is our basic template setup. There's one more thing I want to grab. So we're going to use some font awesome icons later on. And so we need to pull in that link tag and put it within our base template as well. So back in a browser, if we jump into another tab here, I already have it open. If you go to fontawesome.com, you should be able to log in here, create a kit, and this should give you a link that you can paste into your site. So I have mine right here. We'll copy that. We'll jump back into the browser here and come right below the Bootstrap link right there. We'll paste it right there. There we go. We'll go ahead and save that. So now let's jump into the index.html. Index. There we go. And to start off here, I'm going to go ahead and bring in or inherit from the base template. So I'll do curly braces, percent signs, and then do extends, and then we'll do landing slash base.html. Now below here, I'm going to go and create my content block. So we'll do block content. Then below here, we will do in block content. And within this tag here, let's go ahead and just make an H1, and we'll put landing just to test this out, make sure everything's working. So in case you're not familiar with this, This content block right here, this will take whatever's inside these two tags. In this case, it's just this landing h1 tag, and it'll paste it in between these two block content tags in our base. So it will come in here and it'll paste the code right in here. So now with that done, I'm going to go ahead and create a URL pattern for this route. But to do this, I'm going to go ahead and create a separate urls.py file and the landing app for all the landing URLs, and just include that into our root URLs file. So inside of our landing directory here, I'll go ahead and create a new file, and we'll call it urls.py. And so first, what I want to do is I want to import the path from the Django URLs. So I'll do from django.urls import path. And now we can go and create a URL patterns list here and paste all of our URLs within this list. So we'll create a path, we'll have it go to the root URL, and we'll go ahead and we want to use our index view. So first I need to import that. So up here, I'll go ahead and import from landing.views import index. And down here, I'll go ahead and do index.as_view. And in case you're not familiar, for every class-based view, we need to put as_view after the view within our URLs. Now let's go to give it a name. In this case, we'll make it the name just to be just index for this. Put a comma there, and we'll go ahead and save that. Now we need to go ahead and include this into our root URLs file. So I'll jump down to my urls.py with my social network folder. And up at the top here, I need to go ahead and import the include function as well. So within our from django.urls import path, I'll put a comma and put include to import include as well. Now below the pattern here, I'm going to go ahead and create another path. And this path will go to the root as well, so just be empty string, and we'll do include landing.urls. And that will include our root URLs. And so in this, that will include our landing URLs into this root URLs file. So in this case, when we go to the root file, which is the root because we have an empty string, it will then go look in our landings.urls file for any other matching paths. So in this case, we'll jump into our URLs in our landing app, and we also have a root URL path here because it's just an empty string. And so if we go just to the root, this index view will run, and it will show our index page. Now with all that set up, let's go ahead and test this to make sure everything runs. So let's run it here, and let's run just a Python. Let's go ahead and just do a Python manage.py run server. Let's go to a browser, go to localhost 8000, and there we go. We have our landing page working. Now let's build an actual landing page, because this is working, but it looks pretty terrible, and there's nothing really here. So now let's build an actual landing page with some buttons for the user to log in and register once we set that up later. So I'll jump back into my text editor, close some of these files out, and we'll go back to our index.html. We'll go and delete this landing tag here, and I'm going to start over here setting up some Bootstrap right here. So let's go ahead. So to set this up, let's go ahead and do div class equals container. Within this div, I'm going to go ahead and open another div up and give it a class equal to row justify content center margin top -5. Inside this div here, I'm going to do a div class equaling to column -md -10 column -sm -12 and text -center. There we go. And now with inside this column here, I'm going to go and create an h1, put a class on it that will equal display -2. This will make it like a little bigger, and we'll go ahead and put connect with your friends exclamation point, and we'll close off that tag. Below that, let's go ahead and put a paragraph, and we'll get a class on that of margin top -3 to create some space from our header, as well as lead to make it a little bigger. and we'll go ahead and put follow people who interest you, stay up to date on the latest news, and join conversations with your friends. Go to close out that tag. And now below here, we want to go ahead and put two buttons. And I want them to be side by side. And so to do this, I'm going to go ahead and create a flex box. And then by default, it will set the flex direction to row. So it'll set all the items within the flex box to be side by side. So go ahead and create another div, give it a class, and a flex box with Bootstrap, which is d-flex. I'll also center it by doing justify content center, and give it some top margin by doing margin top -5. Within the flex box, I'm going to go ahead and create two links. So we'll do a link with an href, and for now, I'm going to go ahead and actually just put an empty string and a pound for now, until we set up the authentication a little bit. And then I'm going to do a class equaling to btn-light margin right -2. This will say login. We'll close off that link. And now below this, we'll create another link, href, and it'll just be empty, but just a pound sign for now. And we'll do a class of btn-dark this time. And then we'll set this one equal to register. And we're going to close off that tag as well. And we'll go and close off that flex box. And that should be it. All we need to do now is close off this column, row, and container. So we're going to close off that div, close off the next one, and close off the final container as well. We'll go ahead and save that now. And now let's go ahead and rerun this, or reload our page and see what our template looks like. So I'll go ahead here, reload the page, and there we go. Now I have a better looking template with these two buttons that are side by side right here. That right now won't do anything until we set that up in a little bit. That's all looking pretty good, and that's what our landing page look like. So now let's go ahead and set up all off. And so up here I have a link open. If we go to the documentation here, you'll see it has like a little step-by-step process here to set up everything in our settings.py file. So to get this set up, let's go ahead and jump into our settings.py. Actually, first, before we do that, if you don't have it installed already, you need to run this command to install it. Just pip install Django-allauth. Once it's installed, then you're ready to go set it up in your settings.py file. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy this whole thing right here. And I'll paste it. I'll scroll down here to the installed apps, and I'll paste it right above it. We'll delete this extra stuff right here and right here, and that should be good there. We'll jump back into our documentation here, and this will all be in the description as well, so you can go get the link to this down there. But you'll see these installed apps here. You'll say the following apps are required. This off messages and sites, as well as these all off apps. These first two should be in your app by default. If you come look at your installed apps, they should be down here. If they're not, you need to add those in as well. But if they're there, then all we need to do is grab this django.contrib.sites, go and copy that. I'll put that in here. I'll put it right below all these, as well as these all off accounts as well. These all off apps as well, I mean. So grab these three right here, go and copy that, and we'll paste those right there. And you'll see all these other optional apps here. These are all for the social account providers. If you want to add that in, you can. For this example, I'm not going to do that, so I'm going to skip that. If you scroll on here at the bottom, though, you'll see the site ID equals 1. So I'm going to go and copy that. And I'm going to paste that right below the installed apps. I'll go ahead and save that. And if you want to do some other social accounts, you can follow this here to get those set up as well. But we're not going to do that for now. And now the final piece we need here is we need our URL patterns added as well. So we'll copy this, come back here, let's go ahead and save this file too, make sure everything's saved, and go into our root URLs file. Below this path here, we'll paste that in there, which will set up all the all-auth URLs. Save that. And now we continue to follow this file here, or this page here. You'll see finally the last thing we need to do here is just to migrate the changes. So jump into our terminal, we'll just stop the server, run a Python, just Python manage.py, migrate. And you'll see up here we have auth, site, social account, all that's there. So it should set everything up there. Now let's go ahead and run our server again. And let's jump into our web page here. And now we should be able to go to, I think it's accounts slash sign up. Yes, so now we have our sign up page here. And it obviously looks very bad, but we'll fix that here in a second. And we also have like login, I think. Yep, and sign in's right there. So they're all working fine. We can get to all the pages here as well as here. Let's go ahead and make these look good now. So the way this can be done is if you go search for Django all off GitHub. You will get to this page here. Oops. And if we come into here, you can look at the code. If you go into all off, you'll see a folder here called templates. If we can copy these in and we can edit them, and Django will override the default templates with the templates we added. And so you can come up here, you can come and just clone this repository, or go back one here and just go ahead and download the zip. Either way is fine. You can clone it here with this URL. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the ones we used in our previous project. I'm going to copy those in and make a couple changes for Bootstrap 5. That way I'm not going to spend a ton of time here on just the basic Bootstrap 4 on this project. So in our old app here from the previous project, there's this template folder. I'm going to go ahead and just copy this. And right here at the root of the project, I'm going to go ahead and paste those in here. And with that done, let's go ahead and add one line to our settings pile. So we need to tell Django that's where our templates are at. So we can do that by going into our templates list here. So this is a little bit of an older version of Django. Up here at the top, it still says import OS. And some newer versions, you might see like, I think it's like called path or something here. If that's the case, you will need to type in base dir and then just a space slash space templates. If you have an older version like the one I'm using here, then we can just do our standard os.path.join base dir comma templates. So make sure you're using that based off what version of Django that you're using. I'm going to go ahead and save that. And now we should be using these templates so we can go ahead and edit them to make them look a little better. And with that done, our templates should automatically look a lot better. So we go ahead and reload this. Oh, I forgot about Crispy Forms. So real quick, jump back into our settings. I did not add Crispy Forms as an app here. So let's go ahead down here and we'll do crispy_forms. Let's go ahead and migrate those changes over. So let's stop this and then we'll do Python manage.py migrate. And now let's go ahead, run our server again. And now our templates should look a lot better. Now you'll see here our inputs don't look very good. And that's because we haven't set our template pack up for Crispy Forms in our settings file yet. So jumping back into our settings file, we'll scroll to the bottom and we'll put at the very bottom here, we'll do Crispy templates pack, and we'll use Bootstrap 4 because it'll work fine for this. So type Bootstrap 4. Save that. Come here, reload the page, and there we go. So this all looks great, although we're using Bootstrap 4 for our templates. If you want, you can just leave it like this and it'll work fine. If you want to use Bootstrap 5 though, we can make a couple changes to it and we'll have to change our templates up a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and make that change here for the video. So first I'm going to go ahead and copy in this link tag again. Go down here to our base template, and I'm going to replace, where is it? Looks like all of this here can be replaced. As well as down here, we'll have some, oh wait, I didn't put the JavaScript in last time, but I'm going to put it in this time. So I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to grab this line right here to grab the JavaScript, and that will go right at the closing body tag, so right here. And now with those changes done, if we save this, come back here and reload the template, you'll see here we have an issue now with our button. And this is because of Bootstrap 5 made some changes with the button block styling. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into my templates again. Now let's go to all of them. So first let's go to my login. Scroll down here. And you'll notice here we have BTN, BTN-dark, and then BTN-block. This one no longer works in Bootstrap 5. You'll see here inside of the documentation for buttons, it talks about creating responsive stacks of full-width block buttons, like in Bootstrap 4. And you'll see they have with their display and their gap utilities, which is supposed to give you greater control over spacing alignment. So really the only change here we'll have to make is right here. We'll have to do d-grid to set the display to grid and put the gap to 2, and then we'll have a button that looks like this, like how we did previously. So now I'm going to jump in here and make those changes. So I'll delete this BTN-block. I'll go ahead and put this entire button tag inside of a div. So we'll do a div, a class equaling to d-grid and gap-2. And let's go ahead and close off that tag here. And then inside of here, we'll go ahead, take this, we'll paste that in there. Let's go ahead and save that, jump back in here, reload the page here, and there we go. So now we have a button again here that spans the entire width of this block here. It looks like it's pretty close, it's right here, so let's go and add some margin to kind of bring that away. So we'll do a margin top dash like 3 or something, just to pull that down a little bit. There we go. That looks pretty good. So now I'll need to do the same thing for sign up and register and maybe some other pages, but for now I'll stick to just those two. So we'll go ahead and make that change too. So we'll do a div class equaling d-grid and then gap-2. Close that out. We'll delete this BTN block, and we'll go ahead and delete, or we'll copy this, cut this whole thing out and paste it inside this div. And then once again, let's go ahead and add some margin. Although this one actually probably doesn't need it. We'll leave it how it is. Now let's go ahead and jump into our sign up as well and do the same thing here. So right here, we'll go ahead and do a div class equaling to d-grid gap-2, and we'll close this off here, and then inside here we'll go ahead and cut this and paste this right there. Go ahead and save that, and let's check these and see how they look. Alright, so it's looking good. If we need to make those changes somewhere else, we can go ahead and do those as they come up. I am going to go ahead and add that margin here though. It looks like it's right on the input, which doesn't look very good. So back in my sign up templates right here, let's just do a margin top dash 3 again. We'll go ahead and save that. Make sure that comes down a little bit. There we go. Alright, so as different things come up, there might be small differences in this Bootstrap 5 versus Bootstrap 4 that we'll have to account for. But other than that though, that's all we really need to do. So let's go ahead and add these links to our landing page. So back here inside of our landing, we'll go ahead and add these links here. So we'll do URL, and we'll pass in I think it's accounts underscore login. I might need to change that, I'm not sure. Let's do the same thing down here. URL account underscore sign up, I think. If they're wrong, we can go check and get them fixed, but let's go ahead and try that first. So we'll go ahead back to our index page here, hit login, it takes us here. If we come back, hit register, it'll take us here. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this as well, this little menu here. So let's go ahead, jump back into our base template, I think it is. And there should be, yeah, this whole thing right here. So we go and just delete all of this, I think, should get rid of that. Yeah, right there. And then reload the page, and there we go. Let's go ahead and make one more change though. And around this block content, let's do a div with a class equaling margin top -5, and that will come. We'll just put around this entire thing. And that's just bring it down just a little bit, like that. Perfect. That's all we really needed to do for our login. You can go ahead and sign up and everything else. But we're going to do a couple more things to configure it. In the sign up page here, right now email is optional. For social media accounts, we don't want email to be optional. We want that to be required. So we'll make that change. We also want to go ahead and redirect once they sign up or log in back for now to that landing page until we create the rest of our app. So to make these changes, we can jump into our settings.py file. Right here, and go into our settings and scroll down to the bottom to make these changes. So below our crispy template pack, I'm going to go and add a couple lines here. So first we'll do login redirect URL. This will equal index, so it'll take us to the index page once they log in. And we also want account underscore email underscore required equals true, and this will make it just so the email is required. And finally, since we have email required, it will always send an email once they sign up. And we don't want to set up an actual email account right now. If you want to, you can go ahead and do that. All the documentation's on Django if you want to go find that. But for now, I'm just going to send all the emails to the terminal, so we can just view them there and make sure everything's working. And this works great for testing purposes. So we can go and type email underscore backend equals, and a string that will be Django.core.mail.backends.console.email backend. Go ahead and save that. And that should be it. Let's go ahead and try to register a user and see what happens. So reload this page here. You'll see email now as it comes to the top here with a star showing that's required. So I'm going to go ahead and type in an email, username, password to get started. Go ahead and sign up. See what happens. So there we go. It redirected us to the index page. Look in our console. You'll see we have an email here. But then you go ahead here, and it gives you a link here you can go to confirm your email if you want to. So everything's working great for the signing in. So now that that's done, let's go ahead and create a navbar so it's a little easier to go to all of our auth links. So let's go ahead and get a Bootstrap navbar to start. So I'm going to go ahead and just open some of this buttons tab here, search in our docs for navbar. Scroll down here, we'll find something similar to what we want. So we'll copy this one right here. You can grab any of these you want that look kind of like this. Doesn't really matter which one you grab. Let's go into our navbar file. Paste that. Let's go ahead and also come up here and grab this other input. Right, where is it? Right here. So let's grab this div right here. Or actually, let's grab the entire form. Let's see how this looks. Or actually, no, we'll grab just the div itself. I don't think we need the form. And then we'll come here and we'll place this this stuff within this form right here with what we just pulled in. Let's see how this looks now. If I save this, I should be able to jump into the base HTML, and then above our block content here, I should be able to do include landing/navbar.html. Save that, come back here and reload our page here. And there we go. So now we have this form here where we can search for a user, which will make functional towards the end of this project. There's also some links here. I'm going to go ahead and change some of these links now. So let's go ahead and jump back to our text editor here. Come back to our nav bar. Let's change the brand here to social network or whatever you want to name this site. We'll go ahead and put, for now actually, let's go ahead and just delete all of these links inside this unordered list. As we make some that you want to show up here, we can add them later, but for now we'll leave it blank just for simplicity of this tutorial. We'll go ahead and save that, come back here, reload the page. There we go. So now we have social network here, and we have our search over here. Let's go ahead and make this social network here go to the index page. So we'll pass in index, or URL, and in quotes, index. And now the final piece we want is a little drop down that has like some information if they're signed in. So to do this, we can use an if statement within our tag to check if they're signed in, and then if they are, we'll put a drop down inside of that will display like profile information, login or log out, settings, whatever else we want to put in there. So to do this, we'll go ahead and put this, we'll put it right over here. So to the right of this, we'll go ahead and put in all of that. So outside our form here,